I'm very happy today to be together with Patricia Espinosa, whom I learned to know since couple of months, appreciate, and I thank you very much, Patricia, for your kind agreement to be in this discussion. Patricia not only has a very important professional career in Mexico as foreign minister. You were also hosting COP in Cancun, a very successful one. But right now you are Executive Secretary of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, so the secretariat that you are running, and together with you we will be heading to Katowice in just a couple of days. How can we imagine the future? What kind of model of development should we aim for if we want to achieve the objectives of the Paris Agreement?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Minister, for giving me this opportunity to share with you some thoughts about this very important topic. It's important regarding climate change, but it's important in general to have a vision towards the future. And also let me say that I'm very excited that we are working together in this very important conference that will be held in Poland in just a few days. Regarding the vision for the future, I think that we have a lot of advantages and opportunities. Yes, it is a challenging task. We have a lot to do, but at the same time, we have roadmaps for that, for achieving that vision. And I'm referring here basically to two and maybe three major agreements that were taken by the international community in 2015. One of them is the Sustainable Development Goals that they were adopted in 2015, and the other one is the Paris Agreement. So how does the world look like according to those agreements? It's a world where we have no poverty, where we have people having access to health, having access to energy, having access also to education, where cities are well planned in a sustainable way, where people can live in peace and develop all their abilities. As you know, the general theme of the Sustainable Development Goals is leave no one behind. Now, what is the good news about this? Well, beyond the fact that we have a roadmap, it is also that the technological developments and the knowledge that humanity has been accumulating gives us many tools to really achieve this vision of the world. There are many examples of countries that have been able to make progress towards societies that are more inclusive, societies where people don't suffer poverty, that are there for others to follow. So having clarity on the different aspects, areas that need to be addressed is very important. And having also clarity on the solutions that there are out there is also very important. So we need to have cities that have sustainability goals. We need to have cities that, for instance, do a very efficient processing of waste. Cities and communities where there is efficient processing of water. We know that the resources will be reducing, will diminish, and we also know that the population will grow. We will have, by 2050, we will have almost 10 billion people. That's really an incredible increase. And we know that the resources that we are using now are already endangered because we are over-exploiting the resources of the earth. So we need a future where we use less resources and at the same time provide higher levels of well-being to society. And that one of the issues in the center of that agenda is addressing climate change. If we do not address climate change, this vision will not be fulfilled.
Thank you very much. That's an extremely ambitious agenda, but if we take it from the right angle, we can go there step by step. But there is one issue which is at the heart of the climate agenda, which is energy. And if we have even more people in the world, if we have more people in cities, how to make sure that the energy which will be provided to all of us will be accessible, but will be also in coherence with the objectives of the Paris Agreement, with climate neutrality, which is written in the second half of the 21st century.
Well, you're absolutely right. Energy is a very important issue in order to be able to achieve the goals that were established by the Paris Agreement to maintain global warming below 2 degrees and as close as possible to 1.5. Energy has been a sector of the economy that has driven the well-being of societies in general over the development of humanity. And I think the good news now in the field of energy is that we are seeing just an incredible development of renewable sources of energy, where renewable sources of energy have become much more accessible. In some places, even better prices than fossil fuel energy. This is the case, for instance, in some communities in India, where we know this is a country that is very central. Why? Because there is a big part of their population that has not access to energy yet. So the fact that we are now looking at a scenario where in India, in some places, solar energy is less expensive than energy derived from fossil fuels gives us a lot of hope, you know. And there are places also where we can think that the use of renewable sources like solar or wind energy will allow us to provide energy security in some countries that are today suffering a lot. Take the case of some of the islands in the Pacific. Many of them are dependent on diesel, fossil fuels. Imagine how fragile their situation is because they need to import that diesel from very far away. If we manage to support them and become 100% dependent on renewable sources of energy, it will be just an amazing transformation for them. They will not need to spend money on their on importing diesel, and they will have a better and more reliable source of energy. Now, of course, we still have some technological challenges that have to do basically with storing that energy. It's not that it's impossible, but we're not yet there. However, again, the good news is that we are seeing a lot of investment in research regarding storage of energy. Another really very exciting development is the Oil and Gas Climate Initiative that brings together 13 of the most important oil and gas companies. And they have set to themselves already some ambitious goals in terms of reducing the emissions, particularly the methane emissions. So I think we can look at a future of energy that is clean, that is renewable, and that is accessible to everyone, and that can allow us to get to 2050 with the possibility of achieving climate neutrality. Of course, here it will be very important also to increase the capacity of carbon sinks. In this agenda, we really need to do everything. Every effort is valuable, every effort is important.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned technology, so research and development, innovation agenda. You mentioned also that we need regulation. We are talking about it in Katowice, about how to operationalize the Paris Agreement and what kind of legal framework to provide to the world in terms of objectives. But there is also a question of finance, and there is somehow the question of which I think we are talking a little bit less about societal behavior, because sometimes it's useful to have a small change in the behavior and still we can achieve a lot. Where do you see out of the four, innovation, regulation, finance and societal behavior, the biggest, the most important element?
Well, I think it's a combination of everything that what we need, because you are very right when you say we're talking about a deep transformation, and in such a big endeavor, we cannot think that only doing one thing or one area of commitment is enough. We really need all of it. I would say that until now we are seeing a lot of challenge in the access to finance, especially by the smaller countries. Some countries that frequently are not so attractive to private investment because of their size, because of their capacity, their economic capacity. So that's a very important challenge, especially for the most vulnerable, the least developed, the poorest countries. So we need to address that. That is why the financing part of the regime is so important, and we need to address it. Now, societal change, you are absolutely right. We human beings tend to look for ways of getting to a point where we are comfortable and we feel fine. So then whenever there is a change, frequently we feel threatened or we just are fearful because we don't know how it is going to happen. The unknown makes people nervous, makes people anxious. So I think that their education is particularly important. We need to be able to transmit this, the need for the transformation in the classrooms, through the media. We need to be able to bring this conversation to the, as some say, to the kitchen table, to make of environment and climate change a kitchen table conversation. We need every person in the world to be conscious about its behavior and what it can do in order to make things better.
Mm-hmm. I think that indeed it is growing, there is a growing awareness of the fact that the existing model of development at some point has its limits. The side effects are so important that we need to rethink it all. And this is also what we are doing somehow in Katowice and based on the Paris Agreement. And especially, I remember once we had a discussion about one small island state where the transformation to put the country on complete autonomy based on renewables was not that much expensive. I mean,
no.
It was
Yes.
it was possible, it was within reach, but the country was simply, as you said, not attractive enough for investors. So how can we bring together finance, public money, private money, in order to secure this transition?
This is why our meeting in Katowice is so important, because that's the guidelines for implementation is what really need to be clear. And I think that there is clarity that regarding finance there will be a need to have, yes, partly public finance, but also private sector finance. And in my view, we need to make sure that the public money goes to those who are really not attractive for private sector investments, and that we manage to address their needs and maybe even help them become more attractive also for private investment. Because energy has been such an important area of the economy, partly because it's a big business.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, what we need is to make sure that renewables are also a good business, and therefore we get to a win-win situation, a win-win equation. And our regime, it's really the way to add value to the well-being of people is putting in practice this framework that allows developing countries, vulnerable countries, the poorest countries, to receive support from other countries. So I think that we need to concentrate the public finance on those countries, and we need to help them build the frameworks that will make them also attractive for private investment.
Also you mentioned cities, and when I try to understand that, I think you are completely right that all four are going together in terms of technology, in terms of regulation, finance, and societal behavior. Because when we see that cities will be growing, it's not only a question of changing the technologies to cleaner one, but also to encourage people to use, for example, more public transportation.
Absolutely.
And it's linked
Yes.
again with the financial questions that you have just mentioned. So we have all this package, and I hope that we'll be able to move forward with this package in Katowice. But I think also that it can trigger a discussion, and thank you very much for your very kind intervention about how do you feel about the future, how we can imagine the future, because we need also to help people, our societies, ourselves somehow to imagine where we want to be, so it will be easier to achieve it. Thank you very much.
Thank
I'm very
you.
happy to be there, and hopefully to see you in Katowice, and we will be able to have a successful conference there.
Thank you. Thank you, Michał. Thank you.
Thank you very much.